critical moments, feeling undervalued. Here's the exact script to use Monday morning. Have you ever walked into a Monday morning meeting already knowing you're underpaid and still heard yourself say, "Yeah, it's fine, no worries"? You walk out, your chest is tight, your smile is fake, and you think, why do I keep doing this to myself? If that's you, listen closely. Because in this episode, you're going to hear the exact word-for-word script one woman used to turn, "You're not ready yet," into, "Let's adjust your salary and title." Before we start, pause for a second in your mind and think, what's your biggest struggle when you try to ask for a raise or more recognition at work? When you're done listening, tell me in the comments. Your story might become the next episode. Let me tell you a story. This is about Sarah. Real person, real situation. Sarah is 33, a marketing specialist in a mid-sized tech company. Picture this in your mind: an open office, the clacking of keyboards, the low hum of air conditioning, and Sarah at her desk at 7:45 a.m., coffee gone cold, fixing a deck someone else will present as their work. She's the one people message when a campaign breaks at 10 p.m. She's the one new hires quietly ask, "Hey, how do things really work around here?" On paper, she's mid-level. In reality, she's holding half the team together with duct tape and Google Sheets. And yet, 2 promotions passed her by. Her colleague Tom, nice guy, less experienced, got the raise and the title she'd been hinting at for a year. Her manager kept saying, "Just hang in there a bit longer, we really value you." You know that sentence, right? We really value you. It sounds like a compliment, but it feels like a sedative. Here's the important part. Sarah isn't weak. She just never learned how to negotiate at work in a way that feels calm, respectful, and powerful. What she discovered next is rooted in solid influence research. In organizations, people respond far better when you use inspirational appeals and clear, confident requests. Not whining, not hinting. Clear, calm influence. By the end of this story, you'll know the one sentence that changed everything for Sarah, and you'll have a 4-step script you can use this Monday morning. Here's where everything went wrong. It started with her performance review. Friday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Her manager, Daniel, smiled that tired manager smile and said, "So, overall, we're really happy with your work. You've been a rock this year." Sarah answered, "Thank you, I've worked really hard." She hesitated, heart racing, and added, "I was actually hoping we could talk about my compensation and maybe growth." Already, her voice went up at the end, like a question, like she was asking for permission to exist. Daniel leaned back. "Yeah, totally. Look, budgets are tight right now. You know how it is. But you're definitely on our radar. Let's revisit this in a few months, okay?" And Sarah said, "Okay, sure. Yeah, that makes sense." And just like that, the window closed. Again. That conversation had 3 fatal negotiation mistakes most professionals make when they feel undervalued. First mistake, she went in without a specific, clear ask. She said, "Compensation and maybe growth," instead of something like, "I'd like to talk about adjusting my salary to X and aligning my title to Y." When you're vague, they stay vague. Second mistake, she accepted later with no concrete commitment. "Let's revisit this in a few months" feels like progress, but it's not. There's no date, no criteria, no next step. It's a stall, not a strategy. Third mistake, she framed the conversation around her feelings, not her value. Inside, her thoughts were, "I feel overworked. I feel passed over." But what came out was soft, apologetic, almost like she was bothering Daniel, not offering value to the company. After that meeting, she went home furious. At him, but mostly at herself. That night, she sat on her couch, laptop open, replaying the conversation and thinking, "I knew exactly what I wanted to say. Why didn't I say it?" And this is where everything started to change. Because something happened that night that changed everything. On that Friday night, Sarah did what you might be doing right now. She went down a rabbit hole: negotiation, persuasion, how to ask for a raise, salary scripts, Chris Voss, Robert Cialdini, all of it. But here's the shift that really mattered. She stopped looking for magic phrases, and started looking for a simple structure she could trust under pressure. She realized that in every powerful conversation, 4 things were happening. First, the other person felt seen, not attacked. Second, the value was framed in their language, not hers. Third, the ask was specific and measurable. Fourth, there was a clear next step, not a vague later. From that, she built what we'll call the CALM script, a 4-step framework you can literally borrow for Monday morning. CALM: C, connect and label. A, align with their goals. L, lead with evidence of value. M, make a clear, conditional ask. Let's walk through each step with exact phrases Sarah used, so you can imagine yourself saying them. Step 1, connect and label. Before talking money, Sarah needed to lower Daniel's defenses. Instead of barging in with "I deserve more," she started by naming what he might be feeling, a classic tactical empathy move. On Monday, she booked a 20-minute one-to-one and opened like this. "Daniel, thanks for making the time. I know you've got a lot on your plate and you're juggling budgets and headcount right now. It probably feels like everyone wants something from you at the same time. I'm not here to complain or dump more problems on you. I'd love to talk about how I can contribute at a higher level and how my role and compensation can reflect that." Notice what she did. She connected to his world. She labeled his pressure. She framed herself as a partner, not a problem. You can steal that opening almost word for word. Step 2, align with their goals. Next, she aligned her request with what the company already said it wanted. This taps directly into Cialdini's principle of consistency. People feel a strong drive to act in line with their previous statements and commitments. Here's how she did it. She said, "In our last quarterly meeting, you mentioned 2 big priorities. Number 1, growing qualified leads by 20%, and number 2, improving campaign efficiency so we're not burning budget. I've been focused on those 2 things all year." She's not asking against the system. She's asking inside the system. Then she used a subtle no-oriented question, like Chris Voss recommends, to make it safe for him to engage. "Would it be a crazy idea to walk through how my current role contributes to those goals and where I see room to expand my impact?" Most managers will almost automatically say something like, "No, that's not crazy. Sure, let's talk." Now he's invited the conversation. Step 3, lead with evidence of value. This is where most people mumble, minimize, or go blank. Sarah did the opposite. She led with concrete proof, numbers, responsibilities, and impact. She had 3 short, sharp bullets ready. You can model yours on this. She said, "Over the past 12 months, I led the X campaign that increased qualified leads by 27%, while reducing cost per lead by 18%. I've been informally onboarding new team members and creating the playbooks they're using now. I've taken over reporting for 2 of Tom's accounts while he was ramping up, so those clients didn't see a dip in performance. Based on that, I'm essentially operating at senior marketing manager level, even though my title and compensation are still marketing specialist." She stated facts, not drama. She tied everything to business outcomes Daniel already cares about. And she hinted at something very important. Talent that can deliver those results is not easy to replace. You can literally write down your 3 bullets like this and read them in your next conversation. Step 4, make a clear, conditional ask. Finally, she made a specific ask, and this is where her entire life at work started to shift. Here's the exact sentence that changed everything for Sarah. "Given the level I'm operating at and the impact on our priorities, I'd like to align my role and compensation. I'd like to move into a senior marketing manager title and adjust my salary to X. What would need to be true for you to feel comfortable approving that in this cycle?" Listen to that again in your mind. It combines a clear request, title plus number. It shows respect for his authority, for you to feel comfortable. And it uses a calibrated question. What would need to be true? That question turns him into a problem solver with you, not a gatekeeper against you. If he says, "We can't do that right now," you stay in calm. You can reply, I totally understand budgets are tight. What can we do in this cycle that moves me closer to that level? And can we make those steps and timelines really concrete together? That last part, really concrete together, is where the vague later dies and a real plan is born. Let's do a quick recap of the calm script so it sticks. C. Connect and label. I know you're juggling a lot right now. I'm not here to complain. I want to talk about contributing at a higher level. I'm in line with their goals. You mentioned X and Y as top priorities. I've been focused on those. Would it be a crazy idea to walk through how my role fits into that? L. Lead with evidence. Over the last 12 months, I've done A, B, and C that led to these results. I'm essentially operating at a higher level already. M. Make a clear ask. Given that, I'd like to adjust my title to this and my salary to that. What would need to be true for you to feel comfortable approving that? Hold this framework in your mind. Imagine your Monday morning. Imagine you saying these lines with a calm, grounded voice. Because the final conversation, it lasted only 6 minutes. But those 6 minutes changed everything. 2 days later, Sarah walked back into that office. Let's walk through the full dialogue of Sarah's final conversation, so you have the exact script you can adapt for your own situation. She sat down and started. Daniel, thanks for making the time. I know you've got a lot on your plate and you're juggling budgets and headcount right now. It probably feels like everyone wants something from you at the same time. I'm not here to complain or add to your stress. I'd love to talk about how I can contribute at a higher level, and how my role and compensation can reflect that. Is now still a good time? Daniel said. Yeah, now works. What's on your mind? Sarah continued. In our last quarterly meeting, you mentioned that 2 big priorities this year are growing qualified leads by 20% and making our campaigns more efficient. I've been focused on those 2 things all year. Would it be a crazy idea to walk through how my current role contributes to those goals and where I see room to expand my impact? Daniel gave a slight smile and said, No, that's not crazy. Go ahead. Sarah said, Over the past 12 months, I led the Q2 launch for Campaign X, which increased qualified leads by 27% and reduced cost per lead by 18%. I created the onboarding playbook the new hires are using now, so they're hitting targets faster. I took over reporting and optimization for 2 of Tom's accounts while he was ramping up, so those clients didn't see performance drop. Based on that, I'm essentially operating at senior marketing manager level, even though my title and compensation are still marketing specialist. She let the silence work. No nervous rambling, just breathing and waiting. Daniel said, Yeah, you've definitely stepped up a lot. Now came the turning point. The sentence. Sarah said, Given the level I'm operating at and the impact on those priorities, I'd like to align my role and compensation. I'd like to move into a senior marketing manager title and adjust my salary to X. What would need to be true for you to feel comfortable approving that in this cycle? Daniel leaned back. This could have gone a lot of ways. Here's how it actually went. He said, Okay, so I can't promise anything on the spot, but your points are fair. Realistically, I'd need to check with HR on the banding and with finance on the budget. Sarah stayed calm. No panic, no backing down. She said, That makes sense. What information from my side would make that conversation easier for you? Daniel replied, If you could send those results in an email, especially the metrics, that would help. And I'll need a range you're targeting. Sarah said, Great, I can send that right after this. In terms of timing, what would be a realistic date for a decision so we're both clear? Daniel answered, If you send it today, I can talk to HR this week and give you an update by next Wednesday. Sarah said, Thanks, I appreciate that. One more question. If for some reason we can't get all the way to that number this cycle, would you be open to mapping a clear path with milestones and a timeline so we're not in the same place 3 months from now? Daniel replied, Yeah, that's reasonable. Let me see what's possible first, and then we'll map it out together if we need to. Sarah closed with, Perfect. Thanks for being open to this, Daniel. Conversation over. 6 minutes. By the following Wednesday, the results were real. Title change approved. Senior marketing manager. Salary increase 14% immediately, with a written plan for an additional bump in 6 months if specific targets were met. And an extra benefit, a commitment that she'd present her own campaign results in the next leadership meeting, increasing her visibility and authority. But the real victory was internal. Sarah said, "For the first time, I walked out of that room not feeling small. I felt like a partner in the business, not a passenger." Let's bring this back to you. Here are 2 simple actions you can take this week, even if you're listening to this on a crowded train or stuck in traffic. First action, write your 3 proof bullets. Tonight, open a notes app or a piece of paper. Write down 3 specific things you've done in the last 6 to 12 months that created real results. Saved money, made money, saved time, reduced risk, improved quality. Turn each into a sentence. I did X, which led to Y result. Second action, draft your calm script for Monday. Use Sarah's lines as a template. Replace her role, numbers, and projects with yours. Read it out loud 3 times in a calm, grounded tone. Then book a 15 to 20-minute one-to-one with your manager for Monday or Tuesday. You don't need to feel ready. You just need a structure that holds you up when your voice wants to shake. That's what calm is for. Remember that mistake most people make. They walk into the most important conversations of their career with no structure and no script, hoping the right words will appear. Sarah made that mistake too. She went in vague, apologetic, and came out with, "maybe later." But now you know what she learned. How to connect instead of confront. How to align your ask with the company's goals. How to lead with value, not victimhood. How to make a clear, respectful, powerful ask. Next time you face that conversation, you'll be ready. You'll breathe, remember calm, and let the structure carry you. Now I want to hear from you. What's your biggest challenge when you try to ask for a raise, a promotion, or more recognition at work? Tell me in the comments. Your story might help someone who thinks they're alone in this. And if you want more practical workplace persuasion tactics every week, grounded in the science of influence and negotiation, not fluffy motivation, hit subscribe and join us here on The Power of Persuasion. Because those critical moments at work don't just happen to you. You can shape them.